Today we're going to have to talk about a topic that I'm actually a little bit struggling with. Something we haven't talked about in a very long time because it hasn't really come up, and also because there's so many layers that needs, could and should be peeled back that I'm not even sure if it's going to fit in a whole video. And also, if your likes and comments are going to fit in this video, that would be super cool, because it is something that I feel like we should have a little bit of a discussion about it. And it is because today the ISA SUP Surfing final took place, and it made me think about the state of SUP surfing. We're not going to go in this video and dissect the results of the athletes. It was more something, a broader picture, that SUP surfing was pretty much forgotten through the pandemic. We were all talking about flat water versus surf races, and what's the SUP racing sport, that like SUP surfing is pretty much out of the public eye until it came back through the ISA. And why did it came back through the ISA? Well, because we have racing and surfing combined in one big world championship. And normally we don't have that. With the ICF, we only have the racing, and with the APP, they keep the surfing competition tour completely separate from the racing. But now it was actually people who usually don't look at SUP surfing, but they have their country there, they have their teammates there, their friends there. I feel like everybody was a little bit forced to watch SUP surfing and maybe have their own thoughts about it. And I certainly had my thoughts, and this is what I like a little bit to share. And it's really hard to find a good entry point of thinking what can be done. Why is this sport not bigger? Because the athletes are really good at it, actually. Like watching the man final today, these guys are blowtails and good maneuvers, really cool. Even the waves were, not really that good, but they were doing a really good job. And then of course I'm thinking back to Fiji 2016, where I was so enthusiastic about SUP surfing, and we had a final there at Cloudbreak with overhead barrels, and he was pumping, and these guys were really performing hard, boys and girls. And I'm thinking there was really when my whole enthusiasm and office, like this was the first time we actually had a real SUP surf competition, in my opinion, real full-on world-class expert waves. And I'm thinking then it's like, why are we not throwing the SUP surfers in with the WSL and give them a little bit of an exposure there? These guys deserve so much more than surfing sloppy waves to showcase their talent. Comes 2019, and I feel like we really need to give this a push and dissect the SUP surfing part. And in this magazine here, 2019 magazine, and we did have some other covers for SUP surfing. We definitely had quite a few covers of SUP surfing, because I think, to me, it's somewhat still a vital part of the sport, the one way or the other. And we had a whole analysis here of the SUP surfing situation. And right now we can really say, has anything changed from 2019 when this article came out to now? And I don't really think anything has changed. Looking at the finals, it's plus minus still the same names, and it's still the ISA that's upholding the sport, and the APP that's upholding the sport. But otherwise, gosh man, it's pretty much dead. And I'm wondering what could be done, or why is it the reason that it's dead? And I just think it is such a niche. It's so hard to bring this out to the broader public. It's the same thing with surfing. Yes, surfing is now Olympic, and it grew a lot. But did longboard surfing grow a lot? I know that WSL is trying to put a tour there together. They have a tour actually, but is anybody watching longboarding? I don't know anybody that's watching longboarding. Like, let's look at my kids, young kids, they're all excited about surfing. They love to see the competitions in good waves. They are all excited when their surf heroes are out. I watched the SUP competition with them, and they're like, oh, well, that was a bad turn, and they're critiquing that, or oh, this wave wasn't that good, and all of that. So there is just a lack of excitement. And how are we going to bring this further forward? Does it need to be further forward? it's a really tough question, guys, and I'm really struggling with it. I'm really hoping that you can help me out with this, because yeah, what gets people excited is covers like this. Guys surfing waves that are the size of a small or medium building. That is something that gets even my mom excited, because that is something people can relate to, is like, or like be excited about, is like a person this big on a wave that size. Then they're getting all excited. But when we see that in waves that are mushy onshore waves, then it really boils back down only to the people who are involved in the sport. And at least in this episode, I was going to say, in this final, or in this situation with the ISA, other people are now watching too, because they're following their team. They have SUP racing and SUP surfing combined, and at least this way the SUP surfing kind of gets a little bit of platform that overlaps into the racing side. And yeah, we don't see that over with the ICF, for example, or other race competitions. That surfing is always completely by itself, and the community of competitive SUP surfers is really small, and therefore it does not have a real big appeal to people who watch, or for a commercial aspect. And with that being said, I will definitely continue to keep an eye on it and support it when I can from my end, because I think it is a part of the whole picture. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.